The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was...
Look again.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This time. Someone else shows up late. South Africa, a new global power.
Jim, the president seems to have anointed himself today.
That's certainly right, Brianna. The president sounded as though he had something of a God complex at times today, declaring himself the chosen one and accepting praise from an ally who dubbed Mr. Trump on Twitter as the second coming. But the president wasn't so charitable when he doubled down on how he feels Jewish Americans should vote against Democrats and describing the Prime Minister of Denmark as nasty for rejecting his advances on Greenland. There were times when he sounded messianic and sometimes just a mess. Taking his questionable rhetoric to new heights, President Trump talked about himself in biblical terms, at one point looking to the sky as he praised his handling of the economy as godlike.
I am the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. So I'm taking on China. I'm taking on China on trade. And you know what? We're winning.
Thank you to Wayne Allen Root for the very nice words. President Trump is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world. And the Jewish people in Israel love him like he's the king of Israel. They love him like he is the second coming of God.
I have been responsible for a lot of great things for Israel. One of them was moving the embassy to Jerusalem, making Jerusalem the capital of Israel.
Psalms chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. It is the height of arrogance to equate your abilities with the Most High. But today, it's cheered and celebrated. So-called rulers, they're feeling very sure of themselves, very confident. They've gotten so comfortable that the masses are under hypnosis that they feel they can reshape, bend, or break any law, and we have to abide by it. Anything goes if the price is right. Human life and dignity doesn't matter, and it won't get in the way of the agenda, or what they call progress, productivity, or profit. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Pope Francis met with young Catholic company directors and entrepreneurs from France in Rome for a conference on promoting Catholic social teaching in personal and professional lives. The Pope thanked and encouraged them, saying inserting evangelical values in business allow for a genuine and irreplaceable Christian testimony.
Avete anche l'opportunità di riunirvi tra voi, di lavorare insieme, di fare proposte a tutti i livelli, di partecipare alle decisioni politiche. Si tratta, come ha evidenziato il recente Sinodo sull'Amazzonia, di operare una conversione.
The Pope told them conversion's often slow, especially when it involves changing mindsets. Yet through concrete actions and determination, businessmen and women can transform the professional work field.
Infine, questa conversione ecologica non può essere separata dalla conversione spirituale, che ne è la condizione indispensabile. E ognuno è restituito alla sua coscienza e alla sua responsabilità.
Pope Francis explained this means appreciating the simple things in life instead of living for consumption. This ecological and spiritual conversion will help focus on the true vocation of being Christian business leaders and incorporating church social doctrine in daily life.
Galatians chapter 4, verses 8 and 9. Howbeit then, when ye knew not God, ye did service unto them which by nature are no gods. But now, after ye have known God, or rather are known of God, how turn ye again to the weak and beggarly elements, whereunto ye desire again to be in bondage?
Do we have a deal, Mr. Reagan?
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years, you know what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
Then we have a deal.
I don't want to remember nothing. Nothing. You understand? And I want to be rich. You know, someone important. Like an actor.
Now see, Cypher, having been unplugged from the Matrix, chose to go back and sell out his allies. And he didn't want to know of the evil that he had done. Think Judas Iscariot of the Bible. Very cowardly, by the way. But it's so on point because there are a lot of individuals who will do this very thing after coming into the truth of the Most High and His Word. They will turn back to bondage, back to sin and iniquity. But how do we get here? Well, history has shown that even though you may not remember who you are, the world does. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. First Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 48 of the Apocrypha. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images. So this shows you that there was and is a conscious effort to erase truth from our understanding of the scriptures narrative. And in the same way erase honor, dignity, and humanity from our presence on this earth. And it's not just one nation, but a confederacy of nations who've had these diabolical motives. And this isn't new. There is a history of brutality, slavery, and savagery towards Yah's people. From the Ashkenazis' involvement in the slave trade, to the Aborigines being made captives by the exiled criminals of England, to arguably the worst genocide to happen on this planet by King Leopold II of Belgium on the men, women, and children of the Congo. These deeds can only be deemed as satanic in origin and allied in its method. Psalms chapter 2, verse 2. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Most High and against his anointed. Psalms chapter 83, verse 1 through 5. Keep now thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And as I stated earlier, it should come as no surprise that sometimes the closest ones to you have jealousy and deceit in their hearts, because every brother ain't a brother.
These Ivorians, repatriated to the Ivory Coast from Libya, say they risk being sold into slavery.
They sell Africans over there. In Libya, they sell men. Even 15-year-old Libyans are there in a car, they're armed. They'll come and kidnap you, and they'll sell you for $70 to $150.
As soon as you arrive in Libya, the first thing that happens is that you are taken away and sold. Our black brothers from West Africa, wherever you are from, a Malian, a Senegalese, or any other nationality from the West, even an Ivorian, you are sold. And for what? $700.
All these nations can fall under the banner of a satanic confederacy, subjecting your fellow human beings to the most barbaric treatment known to man is as evil as it gets. So how do we fight against a system that is worldwide, with all the technology, firepower, and finances at their disposal? We petition the power that created all, whom is most mighty, and without partner, the Most High Yah in his word, which cannot come back void. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 11. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Genesis chapter 17, verse 7. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed, and after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 9 and 10. The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. Psalms chapter 128, verses 1 and 2. Blessed is everyone that feareth the Lord, that walketh in his ways, for thou shalt eat the labor of thine hands. Happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee. It magnifies the power of Yah in preserving himself a church in the world, in spite of the combined force of the synagogue of Satan and the rebellious. So Yah makes himself known, and he makes his might known by keeping that one church, that chosen people, to be a light to all the nations on the earth, and to be a reminder that he is still in control. Revelation chapter 2, verses 9 and 10. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Israelites, we must overcome the spirit of fear and begin to walk in Yah's word. It's just like building muscle. You might think you could never lift that 100 pounds, but you start slowly with a lighter weight. And most importantly, you maintain the discipline to keep doing it consistently. Then bit by bit, you increase the weight as you get stronger. And it's the same with spiritual exercise. You have to be consistent, and you have to lean into that fear. And if you operate from a place of honesty and seek discernment, pray and fast, the Most High will hear you, and he'll reveal the mysteries of his word. That's the definition of revelation. And once we discover the revelation of who we truly are, we can be about what's truly important. And that's Yah's work. So with that, I'll leave you with Isaiah chapter 51, verse 7. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings. And with that, I bid you shalom.